Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Cecilia and my intention is to inspire you with art and to help you improve your painting skills. If you're new to this channel, please hit the subscribe button below if you want to see more art videos. That being said, today's video is about painting these big fluffy clouds that you can see here in the background. And the colors that I'm using are oils, and the best brushes for painting clouds are, in my opinion, these filbert brushes with this round edge, and it is good to have them in different sizes because if you want to paint more detail, it is much easier to paint with a smaller brush. And for the edges I use this round brush that you can see here. So yeah, let's get right into it.
As always, I start with the broader picture and go more into details with each layer. First I paint the outer form of the clouds, how big or small I want it to look like, and I paint it with the middle tone that is between the darkest and the lightest part of the cloud. In this case it is similar to the sky color because it is night, which means that there are no big color differences. It shows a dark blue that I mixed with ultramarine blue, ivory black and zinc white, and a tiny little bit of cadmium red. Then I paint roughly the inner structure of the clouds. I define the light parts with white. Thereby I consider from which angle the moonlight is shining. And then I paint the shadow parts which are right next to, like above the light spots, and I leave the in-between part as it is. So you can see that there is a really raw structure laid out, divided into light, middle and shadow tone. And now we are going to zoom into the specific parts and blend them together. What I do now is overpaint the white parts again to make them more bright and shiny. And really the edges that are closest to the moon are the brightest ones. You have to imagine that when the cloud is kinda in front of the moon, it doesn't get lit at all, except maybe for the edges. In this case, the cloud on the right side is just right below the moon. That means that there will be light parts, but also a lot of dark ones, because the distance to the light source isn't that big and the angle isn't that wide. Then I paint the shadow with a dark blue and start to blend with white. I would mix the dark blue with white first if you want to have a smoother transition between light and shadow. Of course you can do that right onto the canvas, but in my experience it is easier to mix it on the palette and then paint because there is a huge color tone difference between white and the dark shadow. You can also premix a middle tone if that helps. In the middle I want the cloud to go like steeper downwards. That's why I use more white, because this area gets lit up more in comparison to the upwelling part on the right side, which contains more shadow. This allows me to create a nice, interesting contrast within the cloud. As I am continuing the process, I just blend more and let the shape evolve. Feel free to create your own forms and structure within the cloud, but always keep in mind where the light is coming from. Because when you pay attention to that, it will always look like a nice and right 3D painting. For the next layer, I choose a smaller brush to really work out the details. And again, I brighten the edges with white. You can see the differences. I really want to have a shine effect. Then I focus on the detailed structure and try to make a lot of slight color differences to elaborate shadow spots. But the tone shouldn't be too dark, because in this way the cloud doesn't look unified anymore. If you want to have a rounded, fluffy cloud, you need to make slight color differences within one section. Then, when you go on to the next one, you paint with a darker tone to make a bigger contrast, and in doing so, you create more depth within the cloud painting. It is important that you blend a lot. The more you blend, the smoother the cloud appears. In the upper part, I use a lot of white, and the more downwards I paint, the darker it gets, because the lower part is overshadowed by the upper part of the cloud. If you keep this gradient in mind whilst painting, you can create a really nice and realistic looking 3D effect. Just imagine where the light is coming from, which part is closer to it, or better said, is more exposed to the light, and which part gets obscured. It also helps to study the clouds when you're outside or by looking at a photograph. Yeah, that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed the tutorial. Give it a thumbs up and also let me know in the comments below if you still have questions regarding painting clouds or any other object that you would like to learn how to paint. Also, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I see you in the next video. Bye!